Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week we're talking about how giving up one addiction can lead you straight into the arms of another one if you aren't on your guard. And we explore the way that some people have their own ideas about what constitutes a dependency and whether some behaviours or substances can be exempt. There's also a bag of snakes, the dangers of virtual sports, cheating at the opticians, and a look into the extensive love life of Jerry Lee Lewis. Cross addiction. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you doing?
All right. Is that your telephone voice?
It was rather, wasn't it? Yeah, I did feel like a bit like that. Yeah, a bit receptionist-wise, wasn't it?
You think you were talking to the bank manager?
Trying to curry favour with someone. I'm not trying to curry favour with you, that's for sure.
No, I can't ever recall a time when you would have done that.
No, I can't either. I'm trying to think hard. But anyway, you're all good at your end at the moment then, mate?
Nice. Sun's shining.
Yeah, the weather looks a bit smarter today, that's for sure.
Lovely Sunday morning.
It is.
The church bells have been ringing.
Have they?
Yeah.
Have they?
Having a breakfast. The dogs are asleep. What else could you ask for?
Well, it sounds quite tranquil and serene, I've got to say.
It is, yeah.
You're good. Well, I was going to spoil that then by dragging you in to make you record the episode we're going to do on cross addiction.
Nice. Is that sort of angry addiction, or are you talking about swapping out one addiction for a different one?
That's the one I'm talking about, really. Yeah, I think it's not about or addicts making other people cross, which is quite valid because I think we do tend to, but make ourselves even crosser.
Yeah, you make me cross, addict or not.
Just turning up. Yeah, I can understand that. But it's an idea I've had for a while. But I was reminded of it again recently during a meeting where someone's share indicated that they were sort of indeed in the throes of cross addiction. And I'll expand on that in the subject matter later on. But before we start...
Yeah.
Okay, have you got any before we start, Sid?
No, I was laughing because I haven't actually.
Oh, right, okay. Well, yeah. I've got another animal one, which is...
That's good.
Yeah, it's quite nice to try the theme. It hasn't been possible every week.
No.
But we've had a recent run, haven't we? I saw a headline, okay, which I quite liked, which drew my attention to it, which said, 4 pythons found in pillowcase on side of road by shocked litter picker. Which you would be shocked, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you definitely would. I mean, you'd be expecting a old KFC bucket and perhaps a empty packet of crisps, but not 4 pythons in a pillowcase.
Yeah, I know.
There's something nicely alliterative about that as well, isn't there?
Pythons in a pillowcase. And a good name for a band as well. Okay, we like inventing band names, don't we?
Yeah, you probably need an extra wide poster to get it on, though.
You would, wouldn't you? Yeah. I think that the name of the person that found it is a little bit suspect, so I thought perhaps this story isn't real after all, but I've tried to verify it, but her name was Maria Clutterbuck, which is which I thought that's. And
that is a genuine name, though, isn't it?
It is a genuine name.
I've heard the name Clutterbuck.
Clutterbuck, yeah, but it gave it a sort of a comic effect, really, and also she came from a place called Hucklecote in Gloucester. It sounds like there's a lot of made up stuff going on here, but apparently
Clutterbuck sounds a bit like clusterfuck, which is another great word.
It's a great word. I've never come across that as in use as a surname, though. I've got to admit.
No. You probably think about changing it, wouldn't you?
You can't be saying that to the policeman as he pulls you over in your car, can you? Anyway, she thought this was initially. She thought that the pillowcase was a bag of sand left over by the builders. You know, you see them sometimes. You see them draped over signs, don't you, to keep them down in the wind?
Yeah.
But when she felt it, she thought it felt like it was a bag of washing machine hoses. But because
what a strange thing to come to your mind.
I know.
Why would you think they were washing machine hoses and not just some pieces of garden hose or something?
I don't know. That's what she thought until they started to wriggle, apparently. And they called the police and all sorts. But yeah, but I just wondered, after that story we talked about a couple of weeks ago about the chap in Bristol.
Yeah.
I was wondering if any of our listeners actually knew Maria and could validate this story.
Did you say it's down in Bristol?
No, this one's not down in Bristol. It's Gloucester. But I'm just saying.
Okay, well, it's okay. We're still we're still southwest, aren't we?
Yeah.
Not quite as far south, but
no.
There's something about the southwest.
Yeah, it isn't.
We're attracted there for stories.
Yeah, a lot happens down there, obviously.
Yeah.
But
of course, you used to have a pet snake.
I had a python. Yeah, I had a royal python. Yeah.
Did you ever put it in a bag on the side of the road?
No, I bet Dylan, his name was.
Dylan?
Dylan, yeah. I buried him in a friend's garden. I was living in a flat, my flat over in Headcorn, so I didn't have anywhere to bury him.
He was dead, presumably.
Yeah, I wouldn't have tried to bury him alive. Well, that would have been a bit nasty. He died eventually. And I buried him in a friend's garden. But
So what age do snakes live to then? How old was he?
I don't know. He was about 9 or 10, I suppose. I mean, he did used to come. I took him into the office at one time. I took the vivarium with me and everything to put him in, but it freaked out. I thought it was a nice talking point when people come into the office, but it generally just freaked people outside.
Yeah,
especially the girls that were working there. They threatened to leave, so I thought I'll have to get rid of poor old Dylan. But big snake fan, I've got to say. So I was a bit disappointed that someone had decided to put some on the side of a road in a pillowcase, I must admit.
I expect you wished you could get in touch with them and adopt them, didn't you?
I would have done, yeah. If I'd have found out, I could have taken them on. Yeah, saveasnake.com. Sure, that's my new website. But anyway, so we get on to the subject matter.
Yeah, go on.
As I say, it did come up. It does come up quite a lot, because we used to give out certificates at one time for various periods of abstinence, and it's abstinence is the key word there, because I remember quite a long time ago when we first introduced it, one of the girls was outraged that she'd given up drinking for 6 months and wanted a certificate, but she was constantly off her face on amphetamines and stuff.
Right.
That's not really what we are an abstinence-based group. It is.
Yeah. The certificate isn't for the substance, is it? It's for abstinence.
No, it isn't.
Generally.
No, that's right. And it came up again recently because there's a chap that he was still smoking a lot of weed.
Yeah,
and he couldn't really understand why he was having sort of paranoid thoughts all the time, which was leading him back to relapse.
Right.
It's sort of a gateway back. And so it's quite a tricky subject there when that happens, because obviously you do remind them it is an abstinence-based group, but sometimes people giving up one substance at a time is the way forward. We generally think that anything like that, you need to give them all up at the same time. But
yeah, I mean, tell me if this is right. I mean, I don't know. I haven't got any personal experience of rehab.
Sure.
Or detox.
Yeah.
But I know from my experience of being in a psychiatric unit, anyone who was in there for addiction issues had to give up. So, for instance, if you were struggling with a coke addiction, you also had to give up alcohol.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you were in for addictions that appeared to be or seemed to be somewhat unrelated, you had to give up all the other things that you were likely to be addicted to. So is that the same in detox? Right, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I, when I went off to my detox unit, we weren't even allowed to have coffee. Right. It was...
I was going to say, because the one exception in my experience was smoking. You could continue
smoking was all right. Yeah. Smoking was okay.
You couldn't have coffee.
I know, but they said that because I'll come on to the smoking bit in a minute because that's an interesting point. But yeah, it is. Giving them all up at the same time is what we tend to do on that, because they just lead back to each other. Yeah. And so we've talked about it before, where people congratulate themselves at the end of a week's sobriety by having a joint, and it's not really, it's not the way forward.
Tell me if this, I mean, it sounds as if it is true. That's, again, in my experience, people who have dependency issues, people who've got addiction issues, seem, for some reason, to see smoking weed as separate.
They do, yeah.
They seem to think that that's okay. I smoke weed.
Yeah.
I'll have 4 or 5 joints every day. But that's not a problem. I find that really surprising. Why do you think people don't see that as part of a problem?
I think socially it's seen. I mean, it's not a class A, for example, and so people see it as a little bit down the scale as far as real. It doesn't seem as a real drug. But
Yeah, I've worked with quite a lot of people who will acknowledge their alcohol problem, but won't see their weed smoking as a problem.
no, I think it's as closely aligned to normal smoking, normal tobacco. I think that it's seen almost in that respect, and it's so prevalent that so many people do it. It's almost got to that level of acceptance. And we know the police will pull you up and you've got some on you. If it's personal use, you probably end up with a ticking off, and that'll be that. So it's not seen as serious, but the repercussions are very serious, unfortunately.
Now, you certainly is much more common, isn't it, these days, to walk past someone who's smoking a joint? You never used to do it, did you? But now these days it's quite common.
It is quite common, and because the strength of the stuff that's on the market now, like the skunk, it's massively more potent than when you and I used to have a joint back in the day. It's completely different. And we get people coming in that have weed as an issue, as their major issue. It's younger and younger people, and it's the extreme paranoia and all the mental issues, the mental health issues that it promotes, if you like.
I suppose that must be what going the other way. That must be something that people find quite tricky. If you come in with a weed dependency and you're told, well, you've got to give up alcohol as well. Yeah, that must be something that hits people quite hard.
It is, but again, one leads back to the other. Yeah. It does lead back to the other, and that's why we're concerned about it. So, again, if people are bringing that up in group, you don't want to sort of slam them down and say, how dare you, get out. You can't be doing that. This is a gentle approach to put them on the path to total abstinence. Anyway, should we have a look? I'll tell you what we'll have a look at, what our old friends Psychology Today say about addiction. They see it, or they say that cross-addiction is when one addiction is replaced with another. This can occur through addiction recovery treatments where the addict does not relapse on the same addictive behaviour or substance, but instead he or she becomes addicted to another substance or behaviour. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the behaviour bit in a moment. And I've seen it happen, after quite a considerable period of time sometimes, when people have been abstinent and they get triggered, something comes on, typically bereavement or trauma, and they're wary of going back to their original substance that was causing them issues, so they go on to something else instead, which still means that the underlying issues are still there, where they still want to avoid reality. But I have seen it happen, and so it's something that we have to be wary of.
Do you think, in your experience, is it more common for people to go from having had a drug problem to alcohol? Yeah, because the other way round doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't kind of feel quite as natural.
No, it doesn't. You remember our mutual friend Jim, who was a heroin addict, and he had periods where he'd give up heroin, and again he'd congratulate himself on not taking heroin, but he's so pissed he could hardly stand up to tell you the good news. You know what I mean? and in many cases, he, in common with a lot of people, was a lot worse on alcohol. Their whole demeanour and the way they behaved was atrocious compared with when they were on heroin. It was almost as if you want them to get back on heroin. It was awful.
Yeah, get back on heroin and calm down a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Mellow out.
Chill out, boy.
Yeah.
But I've seen that happen quite a lot, yeah. So we've got to also differentiate between cross-addiction and dual addiction. Yeah. Because, with dual or multiple addictions, the two addictions are present at the same time. And we find that very common. Alcohol and cocaine tend to go very well together. They sort of feed each other, which is why we try to promote abstinence, total abstinence, because you when one drug does feed another one so dramatically, you've got to cut them both out of the cycle.
But in those situations, it must be easier for someone to acknowledge that they have to give up both. So if you come in, if you go into group or you go into rehab or detox or whatever with a dual addiction, it won't come as a surprise to you, will it, that you've got to stop drinking and stop taking cocaine?
No.
I imagine it comes as a bigger shock to people when they haven't really considered. I mean, I can think of someone that we both know who had a behavioural addiction, a gambling problem, and felt that it was okay to continue to drink.
Yeah, just have a few joints from time to time. Yeah,
exactly. But that's the problem, isn't it? It's like when you're compartmentalising in your own mind, you're separating. Well, this is the thing I've got a problem with. Everything else is fine. Coming to terms with the reality that no, everything else isn't fine.
Yeah.
Must be quite a tough ask for some people.
It's a big leap to go from, abusing several substances to none. But having said that, most of the people that come into the groups that are in the throes of alcoholism tend to take drugs as well, or have taken them. Perhaps not to quite as the same level as they do with their alcohol, but certainly most of us alcoholics would have dabbled with drugs and have taken other styles of drugs, almost experimentally. Also, it does, in some ways, it does a slightly different job, but again, you're just escaping reality. So getting rid of them all at that point is really the only way forward. Mm-hmm. One of the things that does muddy the waters a little bit, and I've seen it come up on several occasions when I've been to fellowships. So you'd go to AA, for example, or NA, Narcotics Anonymous or Cocaine Anonymous. And certainly the message that gets delivered there sometimes can be a little bit off-putting, particularly those people that are recovering from a heroin addiction and they're taking methadone. Okay, so they're using a methadone. They're on a script. They'll come down off of methadone gradually to make the withdrawals much less prevalent when they do actually finalise up. Mm-hmm. And they get sometimes they will get told, you're not abstinent, you're not embracing it. The way they do, and I've had people come to groups complaining about that. And the way we see it, if it is prescribed and it's being taken in the proper manner, not abusing it, obviously, then that's fine. It's part of the recovery. You're in recovery. That's part of the process. Yeah. And although officially, I suppose, you're not totally abstinent because you are using a replacement, so potentially a cross-addicting substance. It is in a prescribed manner. It's the way forward.
Yeah, but you're using it on the way to abstinence, aren't you?
You are, and I've seen it as been successful over the years.
And that's also distinct from you saying, right, I'm cutting down. That's different. I'm going to cut down. This is I've gone and I've asked for help. I'm being given the help, and the professional medical advice that I'm getting is that this is the way for me to wean myself off my physical addiction.
It is, absolutely right.
And the physical or physical stroke, emotional addiction. So it seems pretty harsh to be telling someone if they've taken that advice, taken a step to try and get some help, they've been given advice and then to be told, no, that's not what you should be doing.
I know. Well, it's not that you should be doing. You can't count yourself as abstinent, so you can't start to get your chips, because your day one hasn't started effectively, and it can be really counterproductive. So we're quite happy to start the clock ticking alongside them. Yeah. On that basis, when they've stopped taking heroin.
Not for someone else to say when the bloody clock can start ticking, is it?
Absolutely not. And again, everyone's recovery is different, which is why some people do chip away at their addictions and take one of them out of the cycle and then another one out of the cycle. But it makes things considerably harder. But you're right. It's not on for other people to dictate how your recovery is going to work and how long it is.
No, the most important thing surely is that you get to abstinence. And the way that you reach abstinence is your business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But also just a slight aside to that, we talked about smoking earlier on. It never fails to amaze me again how many people do when they come into recovery, how many people are actually smokers. Because we know the national average at the moment is around about, I think it's about 16, 17% of the population smoke. And they're trying to get that down all the time. I saw figures recently on the television program I was watching. I think by 2030, they want that down to as close to 10% as they can get. Then they're looking at phasing it altogether. So if we look at the national average, we say in round figures of around about 15% at the moment, general population. In the recovery community, it's above 60. And so there's this massive shift in that. And I know, again, when I was in the detox unit, everyone went out for a smoke. It's almost as if it's a habit which it's still killing you, but you'll deal with that at a later stage, which does tend to happen.
Yeah, but that is consistent with addiction, isn't it? Anyway, because not only is addiction fundamentally something that is damaging you, but you'll deal with it later. There's also the other element prevalent in active addiction, which is the lack of fundamental care for yourself.
Yeah.
And and whichever way you look at it, I don't care what you say. If you're a smoker, you are self-harming.
Yeah, well,
you can't deny it. All the evidence demonstrates that that's the case. And if you are doing anything that is self-harming, then that says something about the way that you see yourself. So I don't think I think it's a big difference from the general population, but I don't think it's surprising, is it?
It's not surprising. Those people that have lent heavily on other substances in the past, it's almost seen as a last. I've heard people say, "Oh, it's my one last vice," if you like, as if it's okay to have one. But they're clinging on to. I mean, you go to a meeting sometimes and you have a break at half time. The room empties. Everyone's outside having a smoke.
Well, when you consider that one of the things that people point to as a reason for their smoking is relieving stress.
Yeah.
And relieving boredom. They're two big ones.
They are, yeah.
Actually, the third one is punctuation. People use it as punctuation. So when there is a break, it's like, well, I don't know what to do, so I'll have a cigarette, right? But that whole thing about relieving stress, if you're in a situation where you're in active addiction, or even if you're in recovery, there's probably quite a lot of stress around you.
Loads, yeah.
You're probably feeling a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways in which you'll deal with the stress that you have been gaining by your addiction is to engage in another addiction. And of course, the idea that smoking relieves stress is a load of nonsense anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I was looking at cross-addiction, and we're talking about the amount of people that smoke in the addiction or recovery community. There was one of the stats I was looking at is that if you are in recovery from alcohol addiction, you're still 18 times, so it's quite a lot more likely to abuse prescription drugs than a person who's never had an alcohol addiction. So I think once you've got, if you have that addictive quality in you, or if you suffer from the condition of addiction, you're going to be looking at other areas of reality escaping. It can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you see yourself as an addict,
exactly that,
you're going to be looking for substances to validate that view you have of yourself.
That's exactly. We were talking about this last week, weren't we? It's like that belief that you have about yourself. You'll move heaven and earth to prove it. So if you see yourself as someone who becomes easily addicted to stuff, you will fulfill that because you'll unconsciously be trying to.
Yeah. And I think I've come across it before, and I think it was famously represented on TV by Phil Mitchell, the alcoholic in EastEnders. One of the lines he said when he was going out for a drink, he said, "Well, I'm an alcoholic. That's what I do." He'd come to terms with the fact that was how he's going to behave, and he's going to move hell and high water to make sure that he continues in that vein. The next part of my research was looking at how that is. We're talking about cross addiction into substances here, but cross addiction into behavioural problems. And there was, I found a top 5 of the most common cross addictions that are behavioural. Okay. So these are things we've got to watch out for, because I think it'd be easy as us in recovery to drift into these areas. And I don't know if you want to have a guess at what they could likely be. I mean, I'm quite happy to crack on. I just wondered if you wanted
okay, I'll have a go. So behavioural, shopping.
Shopping is one. Yeah, that's one of the 5.
Gambling.
Gambling is that's the top one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got 2. You're doing well so far, mate.
Okay, gambling, shopping. I'm going to miss a absolutely easy one. Is there something sexual in there?
There is. Yeah, that's one that. Compulsive sexual behaviour, and I won't drag.
Okay, tell me what they are, because I'm going to all bloody night.
Oh, exactly. Food addiction and exercise.
Oh, exercise, yeah.
Because I remember when at the detox centre I was at, which is also a rehab as well, you're limited to the amount of time you could go into the gym bit there, because it releases the same sort of dopamine, doesn't it? And then you're ending up getting addicted to that because you're getting a sort of a natural high, if you like.
Yeah, it must be a really tricky one, exercise, I'd have thought, because it's pretty difficult, isn't it, for people to accept initially that what they're doing might be harmful to them when they're doing a lot of exercise. You can see, obviously, if you're gambling or you're eating a lot, or, even if you've got a very insatiable appetite for sex, because that might get in the way of your life. But being going to the gym and exercising, that's probably more difficult for people to appreciate that that's not necessarily wholly good for them.
It's about balance again, isn't it? So it's good for all of us to exercise. We know that. It's when it becomes compulsive, and it's when you think about it all the time, and when it becomes an obsessive thought. Oh, I've got to get to the gym. Must do that. And so when you start to put that in a priority above other things which you should be doing, it becomes out of kilter. So balance is the key again, isn't it, on that one?
Yeah, and I mean that'd be true for all of us, wouldn't it? Anything that becomes out of balance, anything that is consuming your thoughts to such an extent, or your behaviour to such an extent that it's getting in the way of you living a normal life or a balanced life is a problem.
It is, which is also why it's quite difficult when people have an unhealthy relationship with food, because you can't go down the abstinence route on that one, can you?
No.
It leads you straight to your grave. But it is then trying to make sure that the diet is healthy and balanced.
Yeah.
So how do we combat it anyway? Just a couple of tips on this.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is the same as about sort of relapse prevention, really. The first one is staying connected. So make sure, if you do feel some of these behavioural issues starting to become out of control, out of hand, come to the groups and have a chat about it, and we can help you out with that, really, because I think it's something we can perhaps, because it's not a substance, we can see these behavioural issues creeping in. We may not be. When I was doing the research for this, I thought, I've done a bit of that in the past. You don't realise it's creeping in. It's important that by staying connected with everyone, that you do have an outside view on that.
I think that is part of the importance of it, isn't it? Because as we've discussed before, to an extent, we're all addicts.
Yes.
We're all addicted to certain behaviours. We can all find ourselves drawn in unhealthily to certain things. So recognising that in yourself when you're in recovery from a substance addiction, it's not surprising that you're going to think, I've been, hooked into playing this game every night for the past 2 weeks and I'm not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
You don't need to feel shame about that. It's something that everybody at some point or another, in some way or another, falls foul of. And I think you, as you say, you just need to get a bit of perspective, and a good way of getting perspective if you're in recovery is to talk to people in whatever peer support group you're in.
Absolutely right. I'm just wondering why you were saying that, because video gaming is now seen as an addiction, as a problem. So I wonder if that will creep in, because that's not in the top 5. I wonder that of cross addictions. I wonder if that will creep in at some point. I know that I've had to stop. I've had to pull myself up on that one, because how I would get addicted to a football game, for example, and I wouldn't rest until I could play at the top level. And that was
the problem, wasn't it? That's the difference.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about that before.
Yeah.
The difference between you and me was that you would have to reach the top level and win everything at the top level.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of addict mindset, isn't it? Whereas it wouldn't bother me. I'd try to get to whatever the highest level I could, but after that, it didn't matter. But it did matter to you.
It mattered a lot, which is why I've stopped playing Pro Evo Soccer. I haven't played it for a long time now, because I could see it getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And I started to become aware of that, because I was staying up too late playing. I'll just have one more game, just do this. And
you haven't done the same thing with darts on your virtual reality.
I have, yeah. I don't play that anymore. Again, it becomes. I know now, and I can see the danger signs. You just got to let it go. So I've been abstinent from video darts and video football for some time.
Yeah, it was good, because I was thinking when you told me you were playing a lot of video darts, I thought, crikey, let's hope you don't start on the lager then, like the darts players.
Well, exactly, yeah. So when we've got to look out for those behavioural changes, and once we identify them, but also sometimes if we're not identifying them properly, make sure you do listen to friends and your family who could perhaps have a bit of an input on that one as well. Because like the original addiction, it's common for people with cross addictions to minimise the reality and to make excuses for the behaviour, which I think is important. So even though we perhaps resist and find it a little bit intrusive, people say, you're doing, it seems like you're spending too much time doing this or that. Think of it as to give you a chance to have a think about it yourself, and don't just dismiss it, because we are easily, certainly I know amongst my recovery friends, we will minimise these things. Same as we did our original issue. We push it back and say, no, it's not a problem.
It's quite hard, isn't it, sometimes to kind of bring up those things with people, to point out and say, "Here, listen, I've noticed this, and I'm a bit worried that it might be getting a little bit out of hand." But it is important to do it, isn't it?
It is important, but what I'm saying is it's important to listen to those things, because we'll easily dismiss it and say it's not a problem. I only play pro evolution soccer 4 times a week. That's fine, I'm sure. When in reality, it's a lot more. It's a bit like when down at the local recovery hub, when you're filling out your original forms and stuff, they say, "How much do you drink?" They always double what you tell you anyway, because they know you're lying. You're going to minimise it and lie. So it's that sort of thing. We will minimise. I think we all do that, don't we? You go to the doctor and try and minimise what you went there for in the first place sometimes, because you want to...
You do, because that's true. Well, I mean, perhaps not everybody does, but I think there is a kind of natural inclination to sort of underplay what's wrong with you, because what you don't want to do is for them, you want to hear, "Oh, there's nothing to worry about."
That's exactly
what you kind of start off with the, "Oh, this is probably nothing" kind of attitude. Whereas that's not really the way to deal with it.
No, I remember someone telling me about when they went to have their eyesight tested, they would try and get a glimpse, the chart that you read, and so they could sort of try and memorise it. So when they sat down to the chair, they knew what the letters were.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy.
Crazy.
It is crazy. But I remembered that because when I have to go and have my eye injections from time to time, you have to do an eyesight test each time. Yeah,
it's funny, isn't it? Because obviously I've done a fair bit of that as well. And when I've had a couple of eye operations, and they put the chart up and you can't see any of it, and I have to say I can't see any of them.
You can barely see the nurse telling you.
Exactly. But they say to you, we know you can't see any of them, but we have to ask you. It's like it's just all blurred on the wall.
They've got to have a starting point, I suppose, haven't they?
There isn't even a bloody chart up there.
Well, I'm going to. That's pretty much me wound up on all the bits of research that I've completed on this one. Did you want to talk about anything else in that area, or would you like to go on to our gratitude lists?
Let's go on to gratitude.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Mine's quite a serious one this week. So did you want to go first?
Christ, is it? Well, mine's quite serious as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, what a bummer.
We're going to be...
Okay, well, I'll go first, because perhaps yours might be more serious than mine. Mine's quite light, but it's...
Oh, okay.
It's heartfelt.
Okay, yeah, well, no, you go first then, mate.
Okay, so this week I'm grateful for our listeners and my readers for my blog.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Right, and the reason that I've put that on this week is because I don't know what kind of triggered it, but I was thinking about how both with my writing, which I've now done every week for 12 years.
That's addictive behaviour, mate. I have to pull you up.
I suppose you could see it like that. But I see it as a nice legacy that my children will learn a lot about me after I'm dead, because they don't read it.
Yeah.
But I didn't start it thinking, "Oh, I'll write this and loads of people will read it." I just started it because I enjoy writing and I wanted to do it. And it kind of struck me that was the same for this. We started doing it because we thought, "Oh, it'd be good fun to do this." Never know, we might get a few people listening.
Yeah.
And I think it's really nice when you do something like that. It's like it's a fortunate bonus.
Yeah, it is.
When you find that a lot of people have some sort of interest in what you've got to say. And also when you consider all the kind of toxicity and negativity that is available 24/7, it's also nice to think that, we are providing something that is somewhat uplifting.
Yeah, a bit one-hearted.
Yeah, and I think it's also something gratifying about finding your people. It's quite hard these days. It's important for us to know where we fit and who our group is. I mean, obviously that's very important for people in recovery.
Yeah.
And I think when you kind of reach out and you're willing to show some vulnerability and talk about the way you feel about stuff, it's an example of how that will connect you with people. It might turn some people off, but you will connect with people because you're showing, you're showing who you really are. So that's what I feel grateful for this week.
And I think that's good. And I think it's always a good idea to be grateful for the people that do take the time to download these episodes.
Yeah,
I think that's good. And it's been, we don't advertise it or push it, and particularly do it. It's just gradually grown in its own way.
Yeah, because we're too bone idle.
Way too.
Well, actually, we're too bone idle and we don't know how to.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful. It's quite a strange one, really, but I was at a funeral yesterday, which is quite unusual for a funeral to be on a Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
But the funeral was for one of our fellow recoverers, if you like, who unfortunately took her own life in the end, and it was dreadful. But it was a real celebration of life funeral. Okay, I haven't really been to one where there's no vicar, there's no hymns, there's no religious aspect to it. It was an uplifting experience rather than an emotionally depressing one. Mm-hmm. And I came away from it. There was a great soundtrack going on as well, which was nice, which carried on at the wake afterwards. At the wake, there was sort of vegan food because she was a vegan. There's vegan food, which I hadn't tasted before, and some of it was absolutely delicious. And I found that because the ceremony was run by members of the family, so we had the dad said something, the mum said something, and one of her brothers said something. You truly found out some of the details about this person that I'd never knew before. Even though I'd known her for a number of years, there's some real surprises came up, and you got to feel that you came away from them knowing them better than probably you did when they were alive. I was grateful for that. I was grateful that I was invited. You're not really invited to funerals either, but it was made quite clear that people from the recovery community were more than encouraged to come along. And I managed to link up with some old people that I hadn't seen for a number of years as well, which was also quite good, especially as it was down in Brighton. So it's quite a way away from here. So I was grateful for the overall experience as sort of, I'm not going to say getting closure on that because we know that's not a phrase we're comfortable with, but it helped me to come to terms with what had happened. And I learned more about that person and appreciated that person. Even in that, however long it was, few hours, your relationship with that person has still grown. Yeah, exactly.
Even after they've died. That is a lovely thing. Yeah.
So I was grateful for that. So it's a bit heavy, really, isn't it? But
well, not really. I mean, I think exactly you're saying precisely the opposite. You're saying that actually you went to something that a lot of people find difficult to face, death, but you came away feeling enlightened and in a better place than you were when you went.
I think I did come away more nourished, perhaps more spiritually nourished.
There you go. I don't think there's nothing negative. I don't think there's nothing. I don't think there's anything negative about that.
That's a double negative. You can throw it in there. Anyway, days of the year. It's National Wear Your Pyjamas to Work Day. Now, the fact that it's a Sunday, I think, is a bit weird. I don't own any pyjamas anyway, so that would be even weirder. But can you believe that there's a national day encouraging you to get involved in that?
No, I mean, I don't have pyjamas either, so I couldn't do that. And I was just thinking about, even if I did own pyjamas, what my clients would think if I turned up in them.
Well, imagine it's Sunday, right? Imagine the vicar turned up in his pyjamas in the church. It wouldn't give the right impression, would it?
I was just trying to think of jobs that you could be doing that it would be okay to turn up in your pyjamas for. Can you think of any?
No, I'm working from home. I suppose you'd be all right. That's about it.
No. So there must be an occupation where if you turned up in your pajamas, people would think, "Oh, yeah, that's fair enough."
It seems to be a bit of a trend of people going to the shops in their
slippers. Yeah, and slippers, dressing gown. I've said before, isn't there? There's a woman who lives along the road. Sometimes she walks her dog in her dressing gown.
Yeah.
She's in the dressing gown, not the dog.
Yeah, or either or, because dogs do get dressed up quite a lot.
It's outrageous. You've got to get yourself dressed before you go out, for God's sake. A bit of self-respect.
Well, I think so, but perhaps we're getting a bit old-fashioned.
No, I don't think that's old-fashioned. I think that's just good manners.
Well, okay.
A bit of self-respect, that is. Yeah.
Okay. On this day in music.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things here. 2003, Jerry Lee Lewis. Remember him?
Yeah. Great Balls of Fire.
That's the fella. He filed for divorce from his sixth wife. Okay, now, to me, that there's two things that come out of that. 6 wives. You've got to be thinking Henry VIII, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't bother to go for
He didn't have any of them killed, though, did he?
Jerry Lee Lewis didn't, no, but Henry VIII loved a beheading, didn't he?
He did like a beheading, but I don't think Jerry Lee Lewis did.
He didn't kill any of those. But I just think the second thought I had was, I think Jerry Lee Lewis was probably addicted to wedding cake, don't you? that was his. Perhaps he cross-addicted into that from something else.
He was certainly addicted to something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he got bored easily, didn't he? Obviously.
Yeah, perhaps he had some sort of attention.
Maybe he was
deficit disorder.
ADHD. People with ADHD get bored easily. Perhaps.
Yeah, straight away gone.
I mean, that's it. That is true. People with ADHD tend to have more problems in relationships.
Yeah.
So there you go. You heard it here first. Jerry Lee Lewis had ADHD.
We're posthumously diagnosing his mental health condition. I'm assuming he's dead. I'm sure he is.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah.
And the only other thing was in 1969, so it's going back a long way. There's a group called MC5. I don't know if you remember them.
I do remember them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were dropped by their record label after they placed an advert in a local paper which simply said, "Fuck Hudson's." Right now, there was a department store in Michigan, apparently, called Hudson's, who refused to stock their albums. They took that advert out. But unfortunately, they used I think it was Elektra Records, they used their logo in the advert, and they wanted to disassociate themselves with such profanity. They dropped them from the label.
I quite like that. That's right.
I quite like that.
Jerry Lee Lewis is dead.
He is dead, right? Okay.
When do you think he died?
I would probably sometime. Hang on, let me say. He got married, or he got divorced in 2003 from his second wife. I'd say probably 2009.
Do you know what? It was the 28th of October last year.
Was it? Oh, crikey, yeah. He hung on for quite a time. I wonder if he got married again after that. I wonder if everyone after his...
He probably did. Yeah, I've got his spouses listed here.
Okay, how many?
He had... Oh, no, he did get married again.
Did he?
Yeah, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wives.
7 wives.
But he managed to stay with the final one. He died.
Oh, good on him.
That's 10 years. 10 years he was with her.
Wow.
And in fairness to him, 2 of his wives died.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't think they were beheaded. But,
well, you say that.
Anyway, he's got 7 wives now, so he's no longer Henry VIII, is he?
No, he's outdone the lad, hasn't
he? He's put Henry VIII in the shade.
He's put him in his place, hasn't he?
Anyway, he was 87 when he died.
Wow. He's had a good life then.
Yeah. He's had a wife every sort of 12 years or so, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He certainly did have great balls of fire, didn't he, the lad? Shall we end on that note?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
all right. Laters.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandy-wellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.